What the heck is good with y'all dreamers, man? It's your boy Izzzo the Kid, Izzzo with 3 Z's, cause they forever sleep, and I don't know why. We finna wake them up though. We working on it. We working on waking them up, man. Today I got a little what if for you. It's my first what if. I'm working on 3 what ifs right now. One of them is like inserting myself into Naruto, so like making myself a Naruto character and basically seeing how the story would be different if I was one of the main characters, like it was me, Naruto, and Sasuke, basically, or something like that. Another one is another Naruto what if. What if Obito kidnapped Naruto when he was a baby? And basically, so Naruto would have been like raised by the Akatsuki and all this type of crazy stuff. Different, right? I know. But today we're doing what if Dragon Ball? Wow. What if Bardock beat Frieza? So it's a Dragon Ball what if. So basically, the premise is instead of, you know, the planet getting blown up, when Bardock actually charges at Frieza, he has something to say about it. Like they actually have some type of effect. You know what I'm saying? So Goku, you know, he knows his father. Vegeta knows his father. Well, of course, Vegeta knew his father in the original, but like he's still alive, so he basically gets to get trained by his father his whole life. Just different things will start to happen, and we'll just see how the story will be different than the original. And we'll just hop right into it. So we start with a crying baby Kakarot in a kind of like a recovery pod. It's not really a recovery pod. It's more like just the pod they put the babies in while they're in development. It's in the same place, the same facility as the recovery pods, though. You get what I'm saying? It's stated that while he's crying, he has like the cry of someone who'll be a mighty warrior one day. Although the other people in the room don't really agree because of who his dad is. They can see his name, they can look in the system and see, oh, his father Bardock is a low-grade warrior. But they nonetheless, he says Planthor was his name, said that Bardock's son, is going to have the potential to grow into a mighty warrior one day. So we then cut to another planet. I'm not exactly sure of the name. It wasn't really specified in the original, so I'm just gonna call it Other Planet. So we then cut to Other Planet, who is preparing for a battle when they see the full moon, because there's 5 Saiyans on their planet that are there to take over Bardock and his squad. And if you know anything about Saiyans, you know that when there's a full moon, especially OG Saiyans, like that still have their tail, when there's a full moon, they go into this great Ozara form and they turn into a great ape, this giant ape, and they're really powerful. And so basically the great apes are wiping out this planet, and they're under the command of Lord Frieza still, so they're trying to get this planet for Frieza. And the full moon, the inhabitants of the planet are trying to fight back. So the inhabitants of Other Planet are trying to do something, but they're really just no match for a 5 great apes. Like it's nothing they could do. So when the sun comes up and the Saiyans finally revert back to their humanoid forms, you know, we cut after the battle type stuff. they're discussing how they can't really remember what happened when they're in their Ozaru forms, and how Bardock is the only one who remembers the details of their battles. They joke about how his battle memory is so great, but he seems to have already forgotten about his son, Kakarot, who was just born the day prior. He defends himself by pointing out how he would be sent away to another planet in a few days anyways. They then begin to discuss why Frieza wanted this planet in the first place. Apparently, the living on this planet gives you the ability to read minds and tell the future. So the last surviving member of the other race overhears this conversation, and when he hears it, he's like angered by it. He's like, I wish you guys had the ability too, so you could have read the minds of my comrades or my troops as you were killing them. Basically, he's basically like trying to make them feel bad, but I mean, they're Saiyans, they're not gonna feel bad for what they did. I mean, really. So he runs up to Bardock. He basically ends up behind him, gets behind him somehow, chops him in the back of his neck, and Bardock falls. And his squad is basically like wondering how this happened, because they had just wiped out a whole race of these people, and they're like, bro, there's no way this dude should be able to like even compete with Bardock. But they realize like he's really not even that strong, so that they beat him up. And before they like blow him up, he gave Bardock the ability that they're talking about to see the future and to read minds. And they're like, so Bardock's going to be able to see the downfall of his race coming, just as he had to watch the downfall. This is the other race man had to watch, the downfall of his race coming. So Bardock's going to see the downfall of the Saiyans coming, is basically what he's saying. Bardock is angered by this, and he ki blasts him, destroys him in one blast before he passes out cold. So I guess something about him getting this ability made him pass out. I don't really know, but that's what happened. They then cut to Prince Vegeta, the Vegeta that we know, training against Cybermen, putting on a display of strength at a very early age. So he's young. He's still very, very young at this point. He expresses his boredom with his training to Nappa and tells him he really just wants more assignments, like more combat missions, actual in the field missions where he can fight and really flex his muscles, I guess. Vegeta then goes straight to Lord Frieza, who had just been informed of what Bardock had did on planet Kanassa. That's the name of the planet, Kanassa. So the Kanassans had been destroyed, and they're basically talking about how Frieza and Zarbon and Dodoria are talking about how there's no way 5 low-level Saiyans should have been able to take over Kanassa, because that was a mission that had been around for months, and they were thinking, the elites are gonna have to step in and do this mission. But no, Bardock and his low-level group, they got it under control. But yeah, so while they're discussing this, Vegeta walks in, and basically is like almost demanding another mission. And Zarbon is like, yo, who are you talking to? But Frieza's kind of like, yo, just calm down. He's just really excited, he's passionate. I think that's the word he used. And then Frieza's elite, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, so Frieza's like, Zarbon, next time you go out on a mission, take Vegeta with you. And Zarbon is almost disgusted by this idea, but Frieza's the boss, so he doesn't really have any choice but to listen. So Vegeta's actually genuinely excited about this and thanks Frieza, and is dismissed right after Frieza tells Vegeta to mind his manners next time he's in the presence of Lord Frieza, because he did kind of like come in there and just demand some things, and that's not really how Saiyans and Frieza interact. Like, that's not really the basis of their relationship, if you know anything about Dragon Ball. Vegeta then exits, and as soon as he's out of earshot, Frieza tells Zarbon that when they go on their quote-unquote mission, that he actually wants Zarbon to kill Vegeta. And he's like, this is like basically going to be like the first step in eliminating the Saiyan race. They say this because he says this because they had just had the conversation about how the low-level Saiyans were starting to be able to do more and more and more as far as harder missions, which means they're having higher and higher power level. And he knows that the Saiyans don't really like them, so he's scared that eventually the Saiyans are gonna basically be able to overthrow him because there's more of them than it is him, and they're all getting stronger. And he's also kind of heeding a warning from Lord Beerus that is like, eventually there's gonna come along a legendary Saiyan that's gonna be able to beat you. Be careful. Before Beerus went to sleep, he told Frieza that. So he's heeding that warning basically. So he's kind of putting things in motion to eliminate the Saiyans. So we then cut to Bardock in recovery. The two doctors or lab techs or whatever you want to call them suggest that he's getting significantly stronger each time he's healed when coming back from a mission, like basically half dead. So basically they're acknowledging his Zenkai boost. They don't really refer to it as that in the series, but like outside of the series, it's referred to as a Zenkai boost. Like whenever they get beat up and then they're stronger because they got beat up, it's a Zenkai boost. They also mentioned to his squad mates that they see a change in his brainwaves. I guess this is due to his new ability to read minds and see the future, so I guess that would affect your brain. So his squad, basically, they decide to leave Bardock in the recovery tank while they go handle their next mission on their own. While Bardock is in the recovery tank, Kakarot's cry he's hearing it subconsciously because he's asleep kinda. He's in the recovery tank, so he's not really conscious. He's hearing Kakarot's cry, and it sends him into a vision. So he has a vision, and the vision is he sees Frieza throwing like one of those big giant death balls at Planet Vegeta and all of the Saiyans. So basically, he's having a vision that Frieza is going to destroy the planet. This causes his heart rate to raise and forces the lab tech basically to let him out of the tank, which, so Bardock is up now. He's awake. He's wide awake now. So now that he's awake, he realizes, his squad already left for their next mission. So now that he's awake and conscious, he's like, I need to go catch up with them. So right when he's going to leave, he has another vision. Like while he's walking out, he has a vision of someone, like this humanoid figure, this like shadowy figure almost, with yellow hair, standing on top of Frieza. Frieza's on the ground, and he has a fist in the air, like held high in the air. We then cut to Bardock. We cut to Bardock's squad. So the rest of his squad that was with him on the last mission, they're getting beat up by Didoria's underlings, which this is surprising because they're surprising to them because they're like, we've been nothing but loyal to you. Actually, we've been like one of your most faithful people at this point. Like we're doing missions that you wouldn't have even expected us to do. Like this is the last thing they would expect. They would think they would be on Frieza's good side, but I guess he's like, they got too powerful too fast. He was already their mission was a setup by Frieza, who was already, setting his plan into motion to eliminate the Saiyans. So when Bardock arrives on the scene, the only one that's still alive is the one that he calls his best friend. I don't remember his name, but it's the one that he calls his best friend. And he's the only one left clinging on to life. So he explains everything that happened to Bardock, and basically it confirms the suspicions raised by the vision that Bardock had in the recovery tank. The vision that Frieza throwing the death ball at the planet. He's like, basically like, Frieza is trying to kill the Saiyans. So Bardock says his final goodbye to his best friend. He takes the band off his best friend was wearing around his arm. It's now dyed red in his blood. He puts it around his head. He's now wearing it as a bandana and promises to get revenge in their name. Then he's approached by Bardock is approached by Didoria's men. He tightens the bandana and wastes no time as he charges at them. He was beating them up pretty bad. pretty much destroying them when he had another vision. In the middle of the fight, worst possible timing. But this time the vision was really clear. He was on a foreign planet fighting another Saiyan who was the spitting image of himself. Only he didn't have a scar on his face. Kakarot, he says, before being snapped out of his dream-like state by being punched in the gut. He uses the rest of his power really to finish the fight against against Dodoria's underlings, who I guess subsequently are Frieza's underlings. But once he finishes them off, he is then immediately approached by Dodoria himself, which, after he had almost no ki left and was already at a disadvantage to Dodoria, he was beaten to near death. When Dodoria was ready to finish him, he got a message over his scouter to report back to Frieza's ship immediately. He smiles and says, "So the plan begins." As he's leaving, Bardock yells, "Get back here, I'm not done with you after what you did." Basically, like, trying to make good on his promise to get revenge. Dodoria responds by saying, "Don't be in such a rush to meet your end. It will come soon enough, you monkey." Bardock is enraged by this because he knows this is the name that Frieza uses basically to put the Saiyans down. He hates this. It like boils his blood, but there's nothing he can do. But since Dodoria is already leaving the planet and he knows he's not going to be able to catch him, he flees back to planet Vegeta at full speed to warn the others. He's like, maybe there's something they can do to save planet Vegeta, to save the Saiyan race. Just as he's approaching planet Vegeta, he sees Kakarot's pod leaving for Earth. Kakarot's space pod. It's like, so he sees his son for like basically the last, what he thinks could be the last time. While Dodoria was fighting Bardock, Zarbon was on another planet basically chasing down Prince Vegeta, who once realized that this wasn't a mission, this was actually Zarbon sent to kill Frieza. I mean, not Frieza, sent to kill Vegeta, I'm sorry. He starts running. He's running as fast as he can, and there's really no way that Zarbon shouldn't be able to catch him. He's really kind of toying with him. Really, he's not really. He's kind of like Jason like chases, or not, or yeah, Jason or Michael Myers or either one. I think both of them really. When they like quote unquote chase people and they're just kind of walking behind them, but somehow they still manage to catch them. That's kind of what it seemed like Vegeta and Zarbon were doing at this point. When Vegeta ran into his father, King Vegeta, he almost like lets out a sigh of relief because he's like, man, he of course he's gonna believe in his father. He believes his father is gonna be able to beat Zarbon. Basically, King Vegeta, he was there on that planet already because he knew that when Kid Vegeta, Prince Vegeta, told him that Frieza had assigned him a mission with Zarbon, he knew that something was up because, first of all, like I said, Zarbon is an elite, and Frieza looks at the Saiyan as, lowly. He calls them monkeys. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's like, there's no way he would send them on the same mission. Like, I put them in the same squad because that's almost acknowledging that they're on the same level, and Frieza would never do such a thing. So, instead of confronting Frieza directly, because he knows he can't really do that, because Frieza would probably just kill Prince and King Vegeta both in cold blood at that moment. So he basically waits. He basically finds out the coordinates of the mission from Prince Vegeta and is waiting on the planet before they even get there, so that when they do get there, he's there to at least be able to try to protect his son without having to worry about Frieza, killing them both. So basically they start fighting, but Zarbon is at first they're kind of evenly matched, but Zarbon has a transformation and King Vegeta doesn't. So Zarbon goes into his transformation and he starts beating King Vegeta down, and basically he hits this mean combo on him, hits him with a gut check, his famous Dragon Ball gut checks, and then they get sent flying across the screen and everything. So that happens to King Vegeta, and then Zarbon gets a message over his scouter to report back to Frieza's ship, the same message that Dodoria got. He frowns as he said the fight was just getting fun to him, but he has to leave as he has to follow Frieza's orders and flies off. King and Prince Vegeta then rush back to planet Vegeta to raise an army to go confront Frieza. No matter how much stronger he was, acts like this would not be accepted by the proud Saiyan King. When Vegeta and Vegeta arrive, Bardock is already playing his case to the rest of the Saiyan soldiers, basically like Frieza is coming to destroy the planet, like, bro, we need to do something, and no one really believes him. So he explains how Dodoria killed his men and everything, and Bardock and his squad, they're basically they're playing it off as like, oh man, Bardock finally doesn't have success on a mission, and all of a sudden it's the end of the world, right? Like all of a sudden all of us are gonna die. They don't really believe him. But as soon as King Vegeta arrives and he hears what's going on, he believes, had a brain fart. He believes Bardock because, of course, what just happened to him and Vegeta. He's like, yeah, I mean, why else would Frieza be trying to kill my son? Like, of course he's trying to get rid of it. It makes sense to him. It clicks to him. So he's like, okay, so this isn't just about my son anymore. This is about the whole Saiyan race as a whole. So the king now then orders the rest of them to prepare for the battle of their lives. Like, so they don't have any choice whether they believe him or not. Like, the king is now ordering them to get ready for a fight. So he didn't know how it would be done, but he knew they had to do something. He and Bardock get to the recovery rooms to prepare for the upcoming fight. So him and Bardock, basically, I guess they're recovering. So hours later, I guess they're finished out of the tank. King Vegeta is going through his ranks, setting up his soldiers and everything, giving them their encouragement speech, their motivational pre-battle speech or whatever, and then they see it. They see it peeking through the clouds. A huge ship that they are all too familiar with. They hate the sight of it every time it lands on this planet. It's Frieza's massive ship, and they see it enter the atmosphere, and they see thousands of Frieza's soldiers exit the ship and start charging towards them with no warning. It's just as soon as they basically even get close to the planet, they attack. And they realize they're gonna have to go through this whole army before Frieza even comes out, because they're yelling. Bardock and Vegeta are both yelling for Frieza to come out, and Frieza is not gonna come out. And basically someone says to them that he's not gonna come out unless they go through the whole army. And they both call him a coward because they're like, oh, he doesn't want to come out and fight us. So with Vegeta and Bardock both fighting side by side, which King Vegeta is actually surprised by Bardock's power, because Bardock was supposed to be low level even amongst the Saiyans. They are mowing through most of Frieza's army, like basically getting a path straight to the ship to go confront Frieza. They're mowing through like it's nothing. And then they get close enough to the ship where they're a threat, and they see Zarbon and Dodoria once again. And behind them, floating in his little ship, just as always, Lord Frieza. So Zarbon and Dodoria attack, each of them excited to finish their battles from earlier. However, the Saiyans seem much stronger than earlier, which, because they both got beat to death and then had time to go recover, they got a Zenkai boost, so they are stronger. And they were both kind of, they were both kind of out of power anyways by the time By the time they had got to their fights with Dodoria and Zarbon, by the time Zarbon transformed, King Vegeta was already out of power. By the time Dodoria got there and Bardock had already fought all of his underlings, he was already tired from that fight, fighting his underlings. So, they were both kind of at disadvantages, and they got a Zenkai boost, and now there's no disadvantage. So they're doing a lot better in their fights against Zarbon and Dodoria individually. However, they actually start getting the edge, and they're fighting, they're doing combos, throwing punches back and forth, and finally Zarbon lands a hit on Bardock. Boom, sends him flying across the battlefield, and he basically thinks he's done. And Bardock can read this. Bardock is reading, like he's reading Zarbon's mind as the fight is going on, and basically knows that he let his guard down. So Bardock charges up his strongest move, his strongest blast, and lets it go on Zarbon, killing him immediately, basically, because he wasn't ready. Like, he hit him at the perfect time, perfect moment, everything. So then King Vegeta at the same time was finishing up his battle with Dodoria, and now it was up to them to fight Frieza. So once Frieza sees that he's actually gonna have to fight, he's not amused by this, really. He's really lazy when it comes to it. I mean, they already say Frieza doesn't train, which is actually kind of crazy when you think about how powerful he is. So Frieza attempts to end it with one death ball, just as he did in the original. He attempts to drop the death ball from his finger, and it takes every ounce of everything that most of the Saiyans on the planet have, blasting back at Frieza, or not even at Frieza, at the death ball, to all of them. So imagine thousands of ki blasts, plus they have the strongest two Saiyans also shooting ki blasts at Frieza's big giant death ball, right? So then they managed to actually stop the death ball just before it hits the planet. So Frieza's like, you pesky Saiyans, like, you're gonna make me actually have to fight. So oh yeah, so Bardock, like, after this, he asked if Frieza had the power to do such a thing. Like, if he had the power really to destroy the whole planet, why, like, sacrifice all of his soldiers by sending them into battle against the Saiyans, knowing that the Saiyans are stronger than they were, and knowing that probably a lot of his soldiers were gonna die? Frieza responds by saying, for fun. For fun, right? Like, this pisses Bardock off. Like, Bardock rages. So does King Vegeta when he hears this. So they shoot a combined ki blast at Frieza, and it really does nothing. Like, it really does nothing. That ki blast wasn't really enough. So the fight goes on, and I'm sorry, hold on. Let me find my place. Okay, the fight goes on, and Vegeta, on command, King Vegeta this is, because he's realizing they're getting nowhere. They're getting nowhere in this fight. King Vegeta, on command, goes Great Ozaru. And Bardock is like, what? Like, you can do this and without a full moon? Goes Great Ape to fight Frieza. So when Prince Vegeta sees his dad in that form fighting, he transforms as well, but he doesn't immediately go and start fighting Frieza. He's like still fighting regular soldiers, basically trying to just protect himself, because there's tons of soldiers attacking him, and he's still a kid, really. So he's not really on the level of his dad. I mean, he's not on the level of his dad. Even though he does go Ozaru, it's not as strong as his dad's. So King Vegeta by himself forces Frieza into his next form, which is crazy by itself. He forces Frieza into his next form, and they're fighting, and they kind of draw to a stalemate. But then Prince Vegeta comes and joins him, and so together, like in this emotional father-son fight, they hit him with this big blast, and Frieza's down on the ground, and they're like, did we do it? Did we do it? Did we do it? Nope. Frieza has another transformation, so he transforms again, powers up again, and they're like, whoa, like what the heck are we supposed to do now? Like, they don't know what to do at all. Because the two Great Ozaru are no longer any, like, not any match, but they're no longer winning the fight. Like, Frieza's winning the fight now at this point. So, and Bardock, you know, gains enough strength to rejoin the fight, basically getting another Zenkai boost. The three of them, so Bardock, Vegeta, and Vegeta, push Frieza to his final form. So this form just about kills all three of them. So it's looking really bleak right now, because although the Saiyans, like the Saiyan soldiers, are doing, I'm not gonna say they're doing well, but they're fending for themselves against Frieza's underlings. The strongest three that were fighting Frieza, the only three that really stood a chance for fighting against Frieza, are down on the ground. Like, they're down for the count, really. And yeah, so Final Form Frieza basically put all three of them on their butt. So this just when Bardock is about to get hit with he is hit. Bardock gets hit with a death laser from Frieza, and it seems like all hope is lost. And Frieza makes a remark that makes Bardock's blood boil. That was about to be a tongue twister. Bardock's blood boil. Try saying that 8 times fast. The monkeys are almost extinct. That's what Frieza said. And you know, like Bardock already hates that term. Like, he already hates that monkey. Like, it just it gets under his skin. As he hears this, he screams in a fit of rage, and he's just raging out, and Frieza's like, oh, you're throwing a temper tantrum, is that what you resorted to? Like, he's basically still making fun of him, right? Like, still being Frieza, still being cocky, talking trash, talking his mess. And then it starts. His hair starts flashing, and his ki starts sparking, like the aura around him starts sparking, and eventually he lets out a powerful scream that basically all the Saiyans hear, and his hair turns completely yellow, and Frieza craps himself, because he knows this is exactly what he feared. He knows this is exactly what Beerus had warned him of, and he knows that he had toyed around with the Saiyans for a little bit too long. He waited a little bit too long to kill them off, because Frieza then proceeds to get slammed and bodied around. Like, the Super Saiyan is... Frieza's no match for the Super Saiyan, is basically what I'm trying to say. And when Bardock charges his final blast and hit Frieza with it, the Saiyans erupt and cheer. Like, they're all cheering Bardock's name. As Frieza falls to the ground and smacks, lands hard, crashes into the planet. And man, as Frieza lays there and everyone's cheering Bardock's name, he stands over Frieza and raises a fist in the air, just as he saw in the vision. Oh man, what a bruh, that's so hype, bruh. Like, he had the vision, and then it came to after all. Like, he had the vision of the Super Saiyan, but he didn't know it was him. So what if his visions did come true after all? So that's where I'm gonna end this part. There's gonna be more parts to it. Proceeding with the rest of the story. What happened to Goku? Where's Goku, and how is he gonna be reincorporated into the story now that the Saiyans are still alive and everything? Vegeta's still on planet Vegeta. How are he and Goku gonna meet? because Vegeta's not out on missions with Raditz or anything. Like there's still a whole planet full of Saiyans out there, and Goku is still a Saiyan at the end of the day. So what's gonna happen? Find out next time on. Nah, let me stop. Nah, I can't. Find out next time on Anime with Izzzo. Yo, anyways, man, y'all know what to do as far as the YouTube stuff. Hit all the buttons. Like, comment, subscribe, share, the bell. All of it. Do all of it. Do all the things. If you liked it, leave suggestions. Leave suggestions as to more what this I should do, or where you think the story should go, or anything. If you want the parts to be longer, let me know. If you want the parts to be shorter, let me know. Really anything about the videos you think I should do, videos that I don't even know. I'm just any recommendations you have, leave in the comments. If you want to get to me on social media, you can follow me on all social medias at Izzzo the Kid. Three Z's because they still sleep. IZZZO DAKIDD. Izzzo the Kid. Link in the description anyway, so you can just click the link. The link tree will take you to my Instagram, my Twitter, my SoundCloud, my beat stars. If you want to buy a beat, hear that beat in the background. Oh yeah, I made that. So like, if you want to buy a beat, like if you're a rapper, you a singer, or even if you just need beats for your own YouTube videos or whatever, they're always available for purchase. Link in the description, like I just said. Anyways, like I said, it's your boy Izzzo with 3 Z's. Niggas be sleep. I'm out of here.